Hi, welcome to the Crest Network. I'm Dick Wagner. I previously put a slideshow or a short recording on the website entitled Best Ways for Marketers to Manage Their Time. However, that one was part one. This next one that I'm going to show you is part two, which is the 7 through 12 of the 12 ideas for managing a marketer's time. So watch for the next few minutes as we finish up the segment of the top 12 critical tasks. Number 7 is focus on the 20%. I have a slightly different rule, but you have heard the rule about 20% of your clients give you 80% of the work. You know, there are other sayings that go along with that. 20% of your friends will give you 80% of the respect. I take it just a little bit further than that. For many, many years, and I'm going back 20 years, I used the philosophy of the 90-10 rule, especially and specifically as it relates to marketing to and calling on your client base. Primarily over those years and back 20 years ago, I was calling on agents and plumbers and property managers. And I learned pretty quickly that because my time was so limited, I needed to identify which clients were A's, which is A stands for awesome, the B clients, which stands for you add any B word you want in there, and C stands for crap. And my philosophy was that if you had in your portfolio, in your route list, 250 insurance agents as an example, the chances are really, really, really good that only about 10% of them will ever give you any business. So think about that. You're calling on, you have in your routes 250 insurance agents. And if you're honest with yourself, if you're honest with your company, and you go back and you do the research and you identify every single insurance agent for the past 2 years that's given you any work, even one job, one lead, one referral, I think you will find it shocking that you're going to be hard pressed to come up with 10%. 10% of 250 is 25. I have asked this question of marketers in the past. I have had marketers tell me that they've had, one in particular comes to mind, 240 agents that she is calling on, and she'd been calling on them for 3 or 4 years. And when we asked her how many of those 240 insurance agents have actually sent you work in the past 18 months, after a little research and confirmation and verification with the owner and the bookkeeper, it turned out that there were only about 20, which is indeed less than 10%. That's pretty typical. When we asked her why she was still calling on 240, is her thought process was, well, maybe I'm going to convert him. Now, I applaud tenacity and perseverance, but after 4 years, I don't think you're going to convert 220 of them. So it's time to take the majority of those and put them into the C list of your prospects, which means you're not really going to be calling on them, and maybe once every 6 months or maybe a year. So that's number 7, focusing on the 20%. I prefer focusing on the 10%. And I want you to stop multitasking. If you look at the science, the gurus in the psychiatry, psychology department, those that do the research and understanding of how the brain works, the fact of the matter is that we really, for all practical purposes, can't do 2 specific tasks at the same time. And yes, some of you are going to say, well, wait a minute, I can drive a car down the road and still talk on the phone and even reach over and change the channel or turn the volume down on my radio. Isn't that multitasking? Well, the reality is that in small increments, you're really changing or switching your goal. Your goal is driving. And so momentarily, for the briefest of moments, you're reaching over and adjusting the volume on your car radio. And for that briefest moment, you really aren't multitasking. You're just simply not driving. The car's driving. And although we can debate this, and there's lots of ways to debate this, the reality is you are far more effective when you identify what tasks need to be done in what order, and then focus 100% on each specific task. You're not going to be able to do multiple tasks effectively and get those tasks done in a timely manner if you're going to try to do too many tasks all at what seems like the same time. Number 9, replicate and repeat your sales and marketing successes. It's been said that the selling process must be a repeatable process. I'm going to expand that and say that the marketing process, the marketing efforts that you do, and let's keep it real narrow and say you're calling on plumbers as an example. The routine, the process has to be repeatable to be successful, and it won't be successful if you can't replicate it, duplicate it, and repeat it. There should be a step-by-step process, and it really is, for all practical purposes, these 6 key steps. Number 1, finding those prospects, doing the research, tracking them down, knowing who they are and where they are, and then qualifying them. Are they qualified to give you a lead? For example, they might be a roofer, or excuse me, they might be a plumber that only does new construction. So they're not going to see the same level of disasters, water damage disasters, overflowed failure of sump pumps, or broken or leaking water heaters and so forth. So you need to qualify them. Are they capable of giving you a valid job? And then there is a making of contact with them. What's the steps? What's the process for making contact? How do you get in front of them? How do you give them a sales presentation or a marketing presentation of what your particular marketing program is with your company? And then closing the deal applies more to selling, but getting them to agree to send you and then actually do send you referrals or jobs. That's in this case for the marketer closing the deal. And then how do you retain that customer? One of the things that I know is going on today is that when the plumber gives the contractor a referral, if the referral fee is $250 for that referral, they write that check out or they deliver that referral fee within 24 hours. That's part of the process of retaining the customer. In this case, I'm speaking about the customer who is your plumber or the customer who is your insurance agent that's actually giving you a referral. Number 10, plan your week in advance. Oh boy, do the marketers hate this. You can't, I can't even begin to tell you, you can't imagine how many marketers fight and argue and provide excuses. Recently, as recent as last week, I had a marketer who kept giving me excuse after excuse for why he couldn't get his weekly planning report done. He was going to do it on Saturday and things came up with the family. He was going to do it on Sunday and then he was going to do it and send to me a copy of it on Monday morning, but his vehicle broke down. And on Tuesday, he was sick and he was out sick the rest of the week. And guess what happened today, this morning? He got fired because he wasn't willing to take the time to do a weekly planning report. And you know why he wasn't? Because he did not want to be held accountable. So I'm going to make sure, and I want you to be accountable. If you don't want to be accountable, you don't belong in this position. You need to do a weekly planning report. Know who you plan to see. I mean specific names, specific cities, specific addresses, and then know what you plan to say when you see them. How do you know that? By doing the research, doing the intel on each one of those prospects so that you know details about that prospect, including referring back to your customer relations management software to see what you put in there last month. My firm belief is, and I've been saying this for 15 or 20 years, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. So if your weekly planning report is in your head, as far as I'm concerned, as far as your owner is concerned, it doesn't exist. It's wishful thinking. So plan your week ahead in writing so that you can truly be productive. Number 11, you know from your weekly planning what you're going to do the following day. You know who you're going to see. But in addition to that, there might be other duties or responsibilities or things that you need to achieve. It could include, and I'm going to give you some leeway here, it could include at your boss's request to swing by the Quick Lube and get your vehicle, your company car, oil change. It could include dropping off 2 pizzas at the insurance agent that sent you 2 nice leads last week. I don't know what those to-dos are going to be, and they're going to change every day, and they're going to be different for every one of you watching this show. But you need to have that daily to-do list, and you need to put things on it that are crucial. Know the specific strategy that you're going to achieve. Know what you're going to say. when you visit a certain person and know what material you need to print off, what Maven article you're going to leave behind so that you have it all planned out. That's what a daily to-do list will achieve. And number 12, use a CRM. If your company isn't using a customer relations management software, then you need to get your own. Otherwise, you're not going to truly be effective in the role that you have as a marketer. There's industry software that in the disaster recovery or the roofing industry, there's CRM software that's pretty common, such as Base or HighRise or Insightly or Dash. And then if you don't and your company isn't subscribing to one of those, for heaven's sakes, go get a free one. HubSpot. We use HubSpot in our company, and HubSpot, the most basic one, is free. You can get an expensive one like Salesforce, and there's others like ACT or ACT, Pipedrive, SalesFlare, NetSuite. Zoho is a real common one. Zoho and Pipedrive are really, really cheap. And so don't be afraid to invest $10 a month, or in the case of HubSpot, their most basic one, which will work well for many sales marketers. HubSpot is free. Their basic software, and you can have it on your iPad, on your laptop, on your desktop, on your cell phone, and you can add information in on the fly. You've been watching how to use your time efficiently and effectively as a marketer. I'm Dick Wagner. Thanks for watching the Crest Network. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.